Wednesday, January 19th edition of the Carolina Weather Video here, and a whole lot to talk about. Some very interesting weather ahead as this kind of fun winter pattern looks really to continue, even though there's a lot of changes ongoing. I'll get into that here as we go through this today's edition of the video. Let's start off with a look at the sea level pressure chart from across the lower 48. Notice another big Arctic area of high pressure has made it into the northern plains. There is some brutally cold air beneath that big Arctic area of high pressure. There's our temperature chart this morning. There are a lot of teens, and there's even been some 20s below zero in parts of the Dakotas this morning. And yep, that big shot of Arctic air is again dropping southeastward. Now there's actually a little rain out there in parts of the Carolinas as I'm cutting this video, generally along to the east of Interstate 95, although this did scrape through parts of Union, Anson, Richmond, up into Stanley and Montgomery counties, but this is pushing out very quickly on a broader scale. Now this is with a very quick moving area of low pressure that is scooting eastward pretty quickly. And this is actually going to get out of the way in time to give us one of the nicest winter afternoons we have had all winter long. We go back to that temperature chart. And notice the mild type of air. We're going to get into that really for one day. The clouds will roll in tomorrow, and it'll be a little bit cooler tomorrow. And then we're back into the Arctic air Friday through the upcoming weekend. There's the upper air chart today, allowing that milder air to temporarily punch in from the west, with the pattern reloading. And let me kind of show you where we go from here. GFS. Here we go. 1 o'clock this afternoon. I think the clouds and the fog that many areas are dealing with this morning will get out of the way in time for a sunny afternoon, and it's going to be great in terms of how it feels. Temperatures in the 50s for most Piedmont highs out there this afternoon. Really nice stuff. Places like Columbia and Wilmington could clip 60 if the sun breaks out early enough in the day. Let's go out to Thursday, tomorrow. There's the next system diving in, and this is going to bring some snow pretty far south in the Tennessee Valley, but it's going to be a relatively light precip type of system. Let's go through this kind of 6 hour to 12 hour increments. Here we are 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon, 6 hours later, 7 o'clock in the evening tomorrow, and this is probably going to be an area of generally pretty light snow, maybe as far south as northern Mississippi, extreme northern Alabama, and up into Tennessee. But light is the key word. The moisture pretty limited with this. I think the upper end is a few inches at most. And most folks that get into the snow area with this will see even less than that. Then the system pulls into the Carolinas Thursday night. And the moisture is really limited by the time it gets east of the mountains. And so I think maybe a brief shower possibility in some Piedmont spots. It would be of the liquid variety. The cold air not in here in time for any type of snow chances east of the mountains, but the mountains will pick up a decent little shot of snow with this temper. It'll be brief, but as it's in and out very quickly. Let's go on out to Friday afternoon, and boy, there's the cold air advection kicking in, and this is going to be another significant shot of cold air. Going to be a day Friday where temperatures have a hard time climbing, and we could very well see some Piedmont areas Friday shy of 40 for highs, and then over the weekend, I think Saturday, many spots in the Piedmont will be in the 30s for highs, and we're back into the low 20s and upper teens for lows over the weekend. Now, Europeans still hanging on to this little solution of bringing some snow chances, mainly Saturday evening. Anyway, I guess there's early Saturday afternoon, but to the coastal plain, far eastern parts of the Carolinas. It's a little farther east with the latest run with that, but you still got to watch that. Places Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, maybe the Outer Banks. Not out of the realm of possibility that this little system pops close enough to the coast to spread a little snow back your way by late Saturday and Saturday night. But nothing at all from that one for the western Carolinas. But hang on, it gets interesting thereafter. Sunday looks like a pretty quiet and chilly day. Low 40s, maybe at most some mid 40s in the Piedmont Sunday afternoon. And then we get to Monday, and I'm going to show you the GFS, but then I'm going to switch over to some of the foreign modeling. Here's the GFS, and notice there is an area of high pressure and very favorable cold air damming position. here comes the next system ready to interact with that cold air damming. Let's go a little later here, 24 hours later. There's what the GFS has. Now it loses some of the cold air damming signature as it kind of interferes with that little system pulling into the New England states, but kind of a different scenario on the Canadian and the European. Let's go to the Canadian first. Here we are. This is Monday evening, 7 o'clock. Very well defined cold air damming signature. There's the low in the Gulf of Mexico. We go out 12 hours later, and the low pressure is developed and is sitting just east of Myrtle Beach. And really, there was no interruption here of the cold air damming signature. So, at face value, the Canadian here is a winter weather scenario in those cold air damming regions, and generally, just kind of a rough estimate you throw out there is I-85 and points north and west, as with the area where the cold air damming holds on the longest. Let's go to the European. Very similar. Here we are. This is actually 1 a.m. Tuesday. So this is the precip that has occurred between 7 p.m. and 1 a.m. Monday evening into Monday night. That's a 1036 millibar high. Good cold air damming down the eastern side of the mountains. Let's go 6 hours later. There goes the low. Cold air damming very well established. And finally that low lifts up to the Delmarva Peninsula area as it's pulling away. And again, you look at the Euro, you look at the thermal structure, and taking at face value, the European, for many of those favored cold air damming areas in North Carolina, that is a snow to ice scenario. Same general idea on the Canadian. And the GFS has the system. It's a little slower with it, and it does cut off some of the feed of cold air damming. So I think the general idea here is still, I think, Monday evening, Monday night, into Tuesday morning. You're going to have to watch that time period very closely, as there is another winter weather possibility for parts of the region during that time frame. Let's talk about the rest of the month, and this is interesting to me. We've been so cold so far this winter, mainly due to two factors, and that has been a negative phase of the Arctic Oscillation and a negative phase of the NAO. Okay, and here let's start off with the AO, the Arctic Oscillation, and notice here for the majority of winter, this has been in the negative phase. It's forecast to spike at least toward neutral and maybe positive in the coming weeks. NAO much the same. It's been negative, briefly positive over the last week or so, but back to negative, and kind of hanging around neutral to maybe slightly positive. So those indices kind of going the opposite way from where we've been the most of winter. But look at the PNA, the Pacific North America index here. And it, for the majority of the winter, has been negative. And notice it is spiking now and forecast to stay on the positive side. And the PNA, when it's positive, basically translates to ridging in western North America. And so that generally means colder air in eastern North America. So I think even though some of the indices are reversing, the end result might very well be the same, a continued cold type of pattern. This is all the way out of the end of the 0Z GFS cycle. 384 hours. I just wanted to show you this, as it was very, very persistent through the entire run of ridging here in western North America, troughing in eastern North America, and the result of that is a continued, more often than not, colder pattern. So even though a lot of the indices are changing and we're going to be going about it kind of a different way than we have been, I see no prolonged warm period at all. In fact, I still think a lot of below average temperatures on the way right on through the rest of January, and we'll see how long this pattern tries to hold into February. Very interesting winter, as it's not very often, first of all, you have a negative phase of the PNA and a strongly negative NAO and AO. That's kind of a different combination. The result was very cold air in the east. And now you get the AO and the NAO kind of relaxing, going back to neutral or even slightly positive. At the same time, the PNA goes to positive. So you get the cold air again in the eastern part of the country. Very interesting to see how this unfolds. All right, that's it for today. I have bored you enough. Everyone have a wonderful day here on this Wednesday, and God bless.